human beings. He has never had a bad day in his life.
No kidding.
He is such a sweet man, forever and always.
Yeah, correct. Yes.
Where's LaFonso Ellis hail from?
He is in South Bend, Indiana.
Was he born there? I'm looking up his Wikipedia.
Originally from St. Louis, I believe.
Ooh. So played at Lincoln High in East St. Louis. That is a rough neighborhood.
Yeah.
Them are the true mean streets. So that he has such a positive, vibrant outlook on life and people and everything else is a real testament to the inner workings of LaFonso Ellis.
Yeah. Awesome. Sweet man. Look at his draft class, the top 5 of his draft class. I mean, it is the all NBA Jam team. Incredible.
92 class, he was the 5th overall pick out of Notre Dame. Had a great career there, picked by the Nuggets in 92. And the 92 NBA draft featured guys you may have heard of. At 4, Jimmy Jackson went to the Mavericks out of Ohio State. Number 3, Christian Laettner. Might have heard of him. He went to the Timberwolves. At 2, Alonzo Mourning, one of the 50 greatest NBA players of all time, to the Hornets out of Georgetown. And a certain guy named Shaquille O'Neal to the Orlando Magic, 1/1.
Yeah, I would say it's pretty good.
Pretty good draft class.
That is pretty darn good. That class also included Robert Horry, Harold Miner, Doug Christie, Tracy Murray, some other guys down the list. John Barry was in that class. 92. Good times. How are you, Mr. Levering? Good to talk to you.
Likewise, guys. Chilly today, but everything is great. Everything is great. Rock and roll.
So, the world is our oyster. We can go anywhere. You're calling basketball games now. College football, you called a lot of those games this year. The college football playoff is coming at us quickly here. We've spent very little shelf space to date, Butchie, on the games, which start Friday with Notre Dame.
I know, it's crazy. Yeah.
And Notre Dame is wearing alternate black uniforms. I couldn't hate that more. But it's the way of the world these days, isn't it?
Yeah, it sure is. I'm kind of a hard pass on that. Give me some navy blue. Give me some navy blue or some white uniforms, the traditional unis. It's kind of where I'm at with that.
Also, I think they're not wearing their iconic gold helmets because the word is they would look too much like Purdue if they wore their black alts and gold helmets, because that's Purdue's look. So now they're really all over their skis on this. Just don't overthink this. But let's just talk playoff picture in general. How intrigued are you, Jeff, about how this is going to play out? Because some teams have an easier road on paper, but we play the games not on paper. We play them on the field.
I'm fascinated to see how the 8-9 game, the Ohio State-Tennessee game, rolls out, because I feel like that has the hardest path to the end, in my opinion. So the easiest path for me, the best thing that could have happened for Texas was losing the SEC championship game. They're the number 5 seed. The 5 seed has the easiest path to get through, in my opinion. That's where I think everything's going to get reworked at the end of the day, and maybe some reseeding after each round and all that different stuff. But I'm fascinated to see how it all shakes out. You've got some really fun games. I love that Indiana and Notre Dame game that's coming up. The Tennessee-Ohio State game, I'm fired up. Oregon's going to be a great game. Penn State with a home game is going to be awesome. I just think that the way this whole college football thing is going to shake out is going to be great. And it's great for the players too. I think you're going to have the best players on the field. You're not going to have the people opting out of these games because they mean something each week. So that's an interesting component. And the further you go, the further it's like an NFL schedule too. So these kids are getting that opportunity to play more games and see what it's like. If they're going to play at the next level, this is what you have to do to get ready.
We're going to check all the boxes here. So we checked the box of college football playoffs. Let's check the box on the Milwaukee Brewers. They've did a little adjusting, hiring of first base coach. You're going to have to help me with the name here. Julio Bourbon?
Bourbon.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So what does that mean? I mean, that's the news out of Milwaukee. And obviously they expanded the role of the pitching coach, Jim Henderson. So what does that mean for the Brewers?
Julio Bourbon was a former first-round pick. It's funny because I called his games when he was an A-ball. My first year in professional baseball, he was on the Bakersfield Blaze, and I was working for the Rancho Cucamonga Quake. So I can't wait to talk about his roster. I know, so great. The Blaze, Sam Lynn Ballpark. It's a place to be. No, I'm fired up. I think he's great. We're going to miss Quentin Berry. Such a great human being. He's going to be with the Cubs now, and an opportunity to be over at third base. So it's really good for Quentin Berry. But for Julio, he's going to be great with the outfielders. Again, a very good base runner. Just another great addition to the Brewers roster over there at first base. So he'll fit in great.
All right, check the box of the Brewer. Now we're going to check the box of college basketball. If I listened correctly, I didn't check the game notes. If I listened correctly, you were on Illinois, Tennessee, game-winning layup. You saw Tennessee, number one team in the country, pull out a really close one.
Yeah.
What do you think of Illinois? What do you think of Tennessee? And where do you think the landscape of college basketball is from what you've seen? You've seen a bunch of it so far.
Yeah, so I've seen Illinois twice. One was against Oakland in that weird zone defense. So they just looked discombobulated. I thought Tennessee was good. They didn't look like a number one team. Like they're definitely missing something, but the way that they crashed the boards and the way they swarmed the basketball, they're impressive. I still think Auburn probably is the best team in America right now. They're good at every level, in my opinion. I like Tennessee. They didn't have a great game against Illinois, but I think Illinois is really good. I think Illinois is a better team than people give them credit for. I had Northwestern on Sunday. Northwestern's Northwestern. I think they're going to make life hard for a lot of people, especially at Welsh Ryan Arena. They've already beaten Illinois over the course of the season. So, it was a fun game. It was a great game. The great
atmosphere had to be great, right? I was there on Tuesday before that, and they were talking about it. As soon as the Wisconsin game ended, that was the first thing Brad was talking about after the game with their radio crew as they, blasted through the arena. So
it was call, Butchie. I got the call of that play, that end of the game the other night.
Shooting into the teeth of the student section, and he missed. Illinois got a timeout. Yakuchonis. And a whistle on the drive. They'll get Ziegler his fifth.
Oh, you're playing that long. That's a thick call.
Yeah, sorry. I'm at the wrong part of this. I'm very sorry. There's 5 seconds left in the game, but there's a minute and 10 seconds left in the YouTube clip on the Fox Sports YouTube account. I'm very sorry. Let me just get it queued up here perfectly.
In the second half, Gainey on the drive. Gainey lays it up, and good! They count the buckets. They'll go and look at it again.
How do you not stop him on the drive? He goes coast to coast.
There was no resistance whatsoever.
Stop
it was
ball.
up. Yeah.
Stop ball. That's why the phrase stop ball exists.
Yes.
Stop ball. Stop ball. Stop ball.
Yep.
Yeah. Illinois couldn't inbound the ball either. They had timeouts and couldn't inbound the ball late. They had that one.
Yep.
Yeah. What was frustrating to me, Levering, is that, and this is a evergreen complaint now in the age of replay, the ball was clearly off his hands well before the buzzer.
Yeah.
And you had to, as an announcer, say they're going to check it.
Yeah, and I think some of that too was there time left on the clock. Was there
I think there clearly
left?
Was.
Yeah.
Right. After it went in.
After it went in, was there time still left on the clock? So you still have to go look at all aspects of the play. It was loose with 1 second left. So he
but
definitely
it kind of rattled
clock.
Around.
Yeah.
As I look at it now, it rattled around, and it is tight as to, like, when are you supposed to stop the clock on a made basket? The moment the last sliver of pumpkin exits the twine?
Yeah, through the cylinder.
So not net, cylinder.
Not net, cylinder, yeah.
Yeah.
If you wanted to get super picky, I think there was a tenth of a second left.
Right. You
Still
could have. We were looking at it, and Hummel was all geared up, ready to do his post game interviews. So I'm just sitting there on the call myself. So I'm like, well, is there point one? Is there not? Well, I'm just gonna let this thing play out. Paul Sells, what do you got? Game's over. Okay.
Game's
Thank
over.
you. Let's go.
That was a good game. Let me back up to Bourbon, the new first base coach for the Brewers. I remember another Bourbon, Pedro
Bourbon. Yeah.
ball player, Pedro Bourbon. I actually looked him up. He was where did he go on my tabs here? Former ball player in the major leagues from the Dominican. Pedro Bourbon. Any relation other than just it might be Smith in the Dominican? Bourbon.
No relation.
Okay.
But I love
right,
Pedro
no
Bourbon was one of my favorite names to use in the name game back in the day, sitting in the dugout playing name game. Pedro Bourbon. Him and Hippolito Pichardo.
How does the name game work? Just name random ball players, or
You go back and forth. You start with, say, I started with Christian Yelich, then you'd have to come up with somebody whose first name started with a Y, and you go on from there. And then the next person.
How about you want to play around of Pedro's?
No, have
Pedro
fun.
Martinez.
Yeah, then you
Let's
go
Just
Manny
jump on in.
Machado, and then you start with somebody with an
you're
M.
playing the
Yeah,
actual
because you got to go with the
game.
M. Oh, yeah, he was, yeah.
I thought we were just going to name every Pedro we know.
Oh, Pedro Guerrero, also great stories.
Okay. Gomez, Guerrero, Garcia.
You're just throwing
for Pedro.
Did you insert your own laugh track there? I think you did.
I did, of course. Pedro had it handy.
Yeah. Pedro
Makes me
Sanchez from
6% funnier
Napoleon
with my own
Dynamite.
laugh track. What's that?
Nice.
I said Pedro Sanchez from Napoleon Dynamite.
There you go. That's a good
right.
one. Luddy, you've not gotten a single Pedro on the board yet. You're 0
Disappointed,
for
Luddy.
Pedro.
I'm out.
Throw Pedro Serrano out there just for funsies.
Yeah, right.
Pedro Serrano.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Okay.
I'm blank.
The forces that be are not done tinkering, apparently, are not done with their urge to tinker with the grand game of baseball. The commissioner said recently that they have talked about things like the golden at bat. I hopefully think that's going nowhere.
Yeah.
But there was another discussion about a minimum innings pitched per starter rule, which it sounds like, Jeff, the commissioner has cooled on because logistically it would be very hard to implement. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I don't think you're able to do that. If you've got a starter who's out there that's getting shelled, right? And he's given up 9 in the first inning and a half. There's no way as a team that you can keep him in there for 5 innings. You just can't do it. It's irresponsible for the player health-wise. Now, I'm sure they would have some sort of rules to get a guy out of there for injuries and whatnot, but you just can't put a minimum. You'd love to have it. So you could throw something out there and say, hey, if your starter ends up going 6 innings in the game, you could have some sort of reward for it, I suppose, if you really wanted to go down that road to try and make starting pitching more important, which I still think it's so important over the course of a baseball season. But I don't see how you can throw a minimum on anything.
Okay. Pedro Tucker. Look what I did. Kyle Tucker to the Cubs.
Yeah.
Many baseball fans, especially Cub fans, are giddy over this because they think this kid is really the real deal.
Yeah. He is. Right? Yeah, he's a very, very good player. I mean, he's Cody Bellinger when Cody Bellinger was really good with the Dodgers. So he steals bases, he hits homers. We'll see how he does outside in the friendly confines, though. It's going to be fun in the summer. I don't know how he's going to do in the April weather, though. We'll see.
Cody's a Yankee now.
He is. What a great storyline. His wife is Giancarlo Stanton's ex-girlfriend. Oh, yes. Spicy.
I mean, how's that going to work in the clubhouse?
We'll find out.
I'm surprised. That's a big reason not to make the trade.
Yeah, no doubt. When the Astros were trying to trade Tucker to the Cubs, Bellinger's name was one that was being circulated going to Houston, but he had some not so nice things to say about the Astros during the whole cheating scandal. So they said, we want nothing to do with Bellinger.
Yeah, that's funny. Do you think young Butchie Jeff knows about the Fritz Peterson, Mike Kekich story? Speaking of spicy romantic things.
I doubt it.
Probably doesn't know.
Did they just switch wives?
Yes, they did. You do know about it.
I do know about it.
Yes, Mike
Ooh,
Kekich
a lot
and
of
Fritz
knowledge
Peterson.
up here, boys. A lot of
I know.
knowledge.
Back in the 70s, switched entire families, wives and families.
Yeah.
Crazy.
How does that
Pineapples.
conversation start? Just does somebody put a pineapple or something on a chair or something? Is that, is that how that starts?
Maybe not on a chair, but yeah.
I don't think I've ever seen Levery's expression like I just saw.
Oh, there's pineapples involved. Not sure they're on chairs.
Try the Dole
All
pineapple whip. It's delicious.
Okay. Sunday, Levering will be with Butchie at the Kohl Center for the Big Ten Network Showdown. Wisconsin versus Detroit Mercy. Tonight is Marquette Butler at 8 o'clock at Fiserv on Fox Sports 1 with the wonderful Alfonso Ellis. So tune in and watch and enjoy and go Marquette. Thank you, Jeff, as always.
You got it, guys. We'll talk to you later.
Coming up, Aaron Nagler, Cheesehead TV. I'm going to ask him, how does he feel now that every national media member has declared the Packers, quote, the team nobody wants to play? That's next. You're listening to The Game. Hey guys, Abe here for the Russ Darrow Automotive Group. New cars are awesome. They are loaded with all kinds of technology that were the stuff of science fiction just 10 years ago. But the buying of a car can be a complicated, stressful process for a lot of people. They feel like they're in over their head.
Cloudy to start, but then partly sunny for the afternoon. Should see a high in the low to mid 30s today. Overnight tonight will drop into the low 20s, and then snow arrives for Thursday. Some areas could see as much as 2 to 4 inches. I'm Fox 6 Chief Meteorologist Rob Aswell.
This report is sponsored by Indeed.com. Need to hire? You need Indeed. Their all-in-one platform helps you attract, interview, and hire candidates, all from one place. And Indeed's interview tool lets you schedule and conduct virtual interviews right from their website. Visit Indeed.com/credit.
97.3 The Game.
Packers have struggled on fourth down today. Love will take it in. Reed in motion. 2-point conversion attempt. Love looking. Now he throws. They convert. 6-point game in Green Bay. Love on third down to the end zone. What a catch. Touchdown. Love to Dobbs. From 46 yards out, Groupie's kick is no good. Wide to the right.
Good times. Green Bay 18, New Orleans 17. Back in late November, a warm, sunny day at Lambeau Field in the early Jordan Love era when they had nothing going on early, down 17-0 going into the fourth quarter. Thank you, Blake Groupie, for that miss. Love and Memories by OAR as you rejoin Kenny Albert, Jonathan Vilma on the call. Joining us now, our Packer insider, Aaron Nagler of Cheesehead TV. He is brought to you by Rodgers Behavioral Health, Hildebrand Law, The Great Taste of Miller Lite, and Orthopedic Associates of Wisconsin. There is a difference. That was a fun comeback early on, wasn't it? Back in the early days of Jordan Love.
Bit of a magical moment there right out of the gate from your first-year starter in his third appearance at the helm. Not too shabby. Not too shabby.
Probably won't be remembered like Favre to Robert Brooks in Packer lore for dramatic, historic.
Well,
moment, right?
It's hard to beat. Forget Brooks, the Kittrick Taylor. I mean, the first ever big-time comeback coming off the bench, beating the Bengals. I mean, that's right. Movie stuff. So it's hard. It's hard to reach
the
that.
one I'm thinking of.
It's hard to reach that level, but still pretty phenomenal. Pretty amazing accomplishment. I mean, you're down 17, haven't done nothing on offense all day long, and then boom, win the game. That's all you need.
Go. So here we are headed towards a Monday night game against a Saints team that is what I like to call a ghost container ship. Every now and then, these big container ships on the ocean, Nagler, they like lose their crew and they get evac'd out, and the ship's just floating out there randomly. That's kind of what the Saints are. Interim coach. They're down to either this guy, Jake Hayner, who was so bad they had to pull him, for Spencer Rattler, who was so bad they couldn't stand his ass.
They started Hayner
with him.
That's so bad.
They started Hayner, right? Right. And even Spencer Rattler stunk against the Commanders. He was like 11 for 24, but he had a touchdown and he was not awful at times. He may start. We don't know just yet. And the Packers are 14-point favorites. It feels like the trappiest of trap games. I need you to calm me down that this is not a trap game.
Yeah, I don't think it's a trap game. I think it's just so clearly a game the Packers should control and win, right? I don't think there's anyone going to be sitting here going, oh, any given Sunday with this team. I mean, when MVS is your literal one threat on offense, which that's where they're at. That's where they're at. And look, no shade to MVS. He's having a phenomenal time down there in New Orleans. He has been their like shining light, especially now that Alvin Kamara's out. I mean, backup quarterback. Yeah, they do have some talent on defense, and I do think you take that lightly at your peril. But come on, this is a game the Packers should control from the gun.
They do have that young running back in Miller, though, who's finally got healthy. He was hurt for a lot. I mean, like,
talented,
there's some talent.
No doubt.
Like, that's my scary point, right? Like, is there like all of a sudden this should be a game where the only thing I don't like is if I'm a gambler, 14 points given up. That's the only thing I don't like, right? Like, it might be 10.
Well, don't gamble on the game then.
Yeah. Speaking of gamblers, I was talking to Billy about this yesterday on Carry the G Radio, and he was saying, it's going to be Packers 31-9 or something like that, which is probably, but which is, I got to admit, that's probably true. But I will say, Darren Rizzi, their interim coach, their special teams coordinator, who has been put into the head gig, I suspect he'll have something for the Packers. Don't forget, they had you were playing the highlights from that game last year. They had a punt return for a touchdown in that game. He is very, very good in that area. So maybe they pull off some kind of, return or something, or forced fumble on some kind of coverage unit. I mean, I don't put anything past it. It is the NFL, and they are playing hard. That's the other thing. You can't say that this is a team that's given up. Like, whatever you want to talk about, and you certainly haven't seen a whole lot from them on offense, they're playing hard. And that with an interim coach, and as you're saying, Czabe, a team that is like just trying to get to the offseason, they're still bringing it. And that's saying something at least.
Has the Jeff Hafley defense become fully operational in Star Wars terms?
Nerds.
As a defense. How do you feel? I'm pretty excited about it.
It's close. It's close. I would love if we could get some stretch here with both Edgerrin Cooper and Quay Walker on the field at the same time. And I know we're back to bashing Quay Walker, I guess, online right now, but I think Quay has played much better since the bye week. I would love these two to be on the field together in Hafley's defense. But now that Quay's got the ankle, I suspect he probably won't play Monday night. You're still juggling things there at the other linebacker spot between McDuffie and Wilson, and maybe even Hopper gets on the field. But, yeah, they're close. I loved what we saw on Sunday night, especially from the pass rush. That has been kind of the bugaboo. But, this is what you were supposed to do against Seattle, right? The book on them was they struggle to protect the quarterback. They've been poor in that area all season long. If your pass rush doesn't show up, then you've really got problems. But the Packers' pass rush showed up, as it should have. So that's good. Step in the right direction. Keep it going. Keep that coming throughout this end of December into January, because if there is one thing that could torpedo the Packers on defense, it is the lack of a pass rush.
Nags, there's 3 weeks left of football. I know what my answer is, but I'm curious what your answer is. What do you need to see over these next 3 weeks?
More consistency on offense. We've talked a lot about the second half and how the run game has kind of dried up a little bit in the second half of these games. Jacobs hasn't been as productive as he is coming out of the gate. I think that's something they'll be working on. There's zero doubt about that, right? Because, look, they're scoring 30 points a game while still leaving a lot out there. And I'm not talking just, they should be scoring more touchdowns, which I think is true. But just as far as controlling the game on the offensive side of the ball, I mean, LaFleur owned the mismanagement there at the end of the first half.
Yeah, I love that too.
That should have been a touchdown drive. I mean, you had the time for that to be a touchdown drive, and you squandered it, right? And then on the defensive side of the ball, it's the pass rush. It all comes back to that, because I do think you're going to get Jair back. You're going to get Bullard back. I think the secondary can cook, but you got to be able to get the quarterback off the spot. Not even get him on the ground. Just get him kind of moving off the spot, out of his rhythm, whoever that quarterback is, because if you can do that, then you're cooking with gas.
My answer leads to Czabe's question next. But my thing is, more than any of, just stay healthy. We saw the Lions. Just stay healthy.
That's a big part of it, right?
But it leads into your question, Czabe. So go ahead. Yeah.
So my question to you, Nags, I'm curious to just get your answer, because you're a man who understands and follows and hears narratives in sports. How do you feel about this Packer team now suddenly, almost as if a memo had gone out to the national talking heads about being, quote, the team
no one wants to
play?
I love that you asked this, because just last week, it was the Rams. That was the Rams, right? But then they go on Thursday Night Football in the rain and they can't score a touchdown. And then the Packers are on national television beating up the Seahawks, who had won 4 in a row. And now it's the Packers. None of that means nothing. I know you know that, but it's just funny how quickly that changes. Also, isn't it hilarious how the whole vibe around the Packers is completely different this week after that game against Seattle, whereas after the Lions game, they can't beat the good teams. This team is just left for dead. They'll make the playoffs, but they're not going to do anything. And now, after the Seattle game, I see, this is the team no one wants to face. They're a sneaky contender for the Super Bowl. Can we just take this 1 week at a time, please? I'm begging you. That's all I want.
That's a great point, that it almost hold on, new memo is out, forget the Rams.
Seriously.
New team.
Seriously.
Dub. But I also find it to be a touch insulting. That's all we are, huh? We're just the team you don't want to face.
The team you don't want to face.
I believe this is a
gum
legitimate
up the
Super Bowl.
works.
I believe it's a legitimate Super Bowl contending team that will have to fight their way through the tougher ranks of the draw, going on the road as a wild card. But not for a second would I be so condescending as to think that they're not a Super Bowl contender. They may not be the favorite,
Right.
but we're more than just a spoiler, in my opinion.
I agree with that. I think, what does KB always say? Champions fear no one. I mean,
There
I
you
do
go.
think that's the mindset, and I don't think there's a team the Packers can't beat. I very much agree with that. But I do think there's at least one team in the Eagles that is a cut above what the Packers have done so far this season. And that doesn't mean they can't beat the Eagles, but I do think that's the team. Like, I think they can beat Detroit. I know they haven't yet this season, but I think they can. But the Eagles,
Yeah.
I think that's a problem.
Yeah, the Eagles, though, like all eyes to me are on this A.J. Brown injury. How serious, how long?
No doubt.
It looks like it's a high ankle, which couple weeks.
Always
couple
problematic.
weeks.
Yeah.
Always problematic.
But they need both Devontae Smith and A.J. Brown on the field to be fully effective because they have struggled when they've missed one or the other. Now, they are an insanely good running team. The fact that they choked out the Steelers with a drive from their own
that's the thing, though. It's the lines. That's where the issue is. It's like they can control the game at the line of scrimmage, and that's what the Packers did on Sunday night against the Seahawks, right? I mean, I don't know if you saw Brian Baldinger's breakdown where he's like, the Seahawks have been owning the line of scrimmage for a month.
All of them.
It's true.
I know.
It's a fair point. I don't know why
I eat all the balls
all
the time.
But
No,
it's true. But what he pointed out was absolutely true. I mean, this is a team in the Seahawks that had owned the line of scrimmage for a month, and the Packers came into their house and absolutely punched them in the face. I mean, that doesn't just happen. So if the Packers can do that,
people out there, yeah, sure. There's a ton of people out there doing quarterback breakdowns, but Baldinger is the only guy that really explains line play to the average couch dweller like me, and I find that
at an extremely high level. I agree.
Yeah, absolutely so. All right, a couple things real quick here. The Rodgers doc, Enigma. Have you seen the first episode?
What are you serious? Are you asking me about Aaron Rodgers in 2024? No, I haven't. I'm not interested in it.
I figured you hadn't. I know how you are. I know how
you will. You will watch it. I guarantee you that.
If someone puts it in front of me and like Clockwork Orange in my face,
but Zabe's going to tell you why I think you have to watch it.
All right.
I've been told that there are very good football-related pieces of content from when Favre was a Packer that are necessary for full understanding.
When Rodgers was a Packer. Rodgers was a Packer.
When Rodgers was a Packer. Sorry. That there is good football stuff and good footage and good behind the scenes stuff that has not been seen before.
I've heard there's an interesting moment or kind of stretch about when Jordan Love was drafted. And that is the one thing I would ever be interested in. And I'm sure it'll get clipped and someone will put it online and then I'll probably see it then. But I ain't going out of my way to press on this thing on Netflix. Are you kidding me? Absolutely not.
Do you subscribe to Netflix, man?
Of course I do. I just watched The Greatest Show. Babe, you would love this thing. It's called the season 1. There's another season which I guess is terrible, but season 1 of The Terror is absolutely phenomenal.
What's it about?
About a ship in the early 1800s with the English Navy trying to find passage through the Arctic. That discovery that's never been kind of made, and they get kind of stranded in the ice, and then it devolves into like nastiness.
No, it's like
and then
Donner
they layer
documentary,
on
but for
a little
ships.
bit, and then there's a layer of supernatural over the top of it. It's
there is
so good. I can't even begin to tell you how good it is. I was shocked. It was out in 2018. I had no idea it existed.
Okay,
it's wonderful.
All right,
absolutely.
I'll put it on the list. But
that's the kind of thing I watch instead of documentaries about former Green Bay Packers. That's what I do.
If it was any other former Green Bay Packer, would you watch it?
I tell you what, if it was a Lynn Dickey doc, I probably would. That's true. That's fair. Yeah. If it was a documentary about Lynn Dickey, yeah, I'd be in.
Okay, so there's definitely an anti-Rodgers bias in there for you.
Not anti-Rodgers. I just don't care about the man's personal life. Like, I just don't.
Okay.
And I said this, look, I'm consistent. I said that throughout his entire career in Green Bay. I just what he does off the field, I don't care.
I hear you. Okay. You have to be enjoying the Bears falling apart like Skylab returning to Earth. It is
How can
so
you not?
spectacular, week after week after week. And the Caleb Williams thing, people are calling up pictures of Caleb Williams doing the same thing in college at Oklahoma before he even went to USC. This whole thing, the great Twitter
body
account
language
sports,
terrible.
the great Twitter account sports, but make it art.
Art,
where they do an image search to find the closest relevant artwork is gold on this.
Have you not seen the interview with this guy? He doesn't do a search. He legit just pulls it out of his memory.
Get out of here.
I'm dead serious. Look, he was on with Pablo Torre.
So it's not
I'm telling you,
algorithmic image search.
It's just in
computers.
his head. It's insane.
Wow.
He was on Pablo Torre's podcast. Highly recommended. This guy is incredible. Incredible.
The account is called Art, but make it sports. You guys, Butchie, do you know about it?
No, it's the first I'm Googling right now.
It's so good.
It's
so good.
Really good. Where these Renaissance era paintings are shockingly similar in pose and composition to
so I did see this yesterday.
Photographs.
Funny. Yeah.
It's phenomenal.
It's unbelievable. Someone said, Nags, we went really fast from Packer wide receivers. None of them would even start on the Bears. Yeah, Caleb's struggling, but he's got the worst
These terrible wide receivers. This is what happens when you collect names. When you don't build a program, you just collect names that you've heard of. That's what I said all summer. No Bears fan wanted to hear it. Well, guess what? I was right. It's bad for the brand. Nagler's never right, except when I'm right about the Bears.
Right. There's 3 games left. Is there any more disasters left for the Bears between now and the end of the year?
Probably. I mean, who knows?
I can't imagine it. I don't
know.
know.
It seems like every
week.
week.
Bad.
I mean, it's every week now. It's hilarious. I remember that game against the 49ers when they had like 4 yards at halftime. You know, I was like, the day will come when I get tired of making fun of the Bears. But then, there's the meme from Lord of the Rings. That day is not today. I was like,
that day is not today.
It has not arrived yet. I don't see it arriving anytime soon. I'll tell you that.
Nagler came here to chew gum and goof on the Bears, and he's all out of gum.
All out of bubble gum.
All out of gum.
Shout out They Live. Phenomenal movie.
Goofing on the Bears, but he's out of gum. Okay, Aaron Nagler, Cheesehead TV, your one-stop shop for all things Packer-related content. Make sure to bookmark it and visit it on the daily. Thank you, my friend.
Thanks, gentlemen. Talk to you next week. Go Pack.